Hi there, thanks for joining me. So, today I'm going to do a video talking about my first impressions of Starfield. If you're confused why I'm doing this again, it is because the original video I actually took down pretty much as soon as I posted it. Some of you, I think, got notifications about that video and were able to watch it, and that's fine. But I'd gone public with it, and then I realized that I had not recorded any audio for Starfield, and that had not really been my intention. So I just wanted to re-record this video. I also just want to do a little follow-up to the last video I did talking about making some upgrades to my PC in order to run Starfield, and just address some of the kind of general feedback and criticisms that I've heard about the game. As you know, it's just been out for a couple weeks now. So for starters, I have this software here, MSI Afterburner. Basically, the main reason why I made my previous video is that I was trying to get the fan noise a little bit more under control on my PC build. I added a new cooler to the CPU, and that helped a lot. But I was still, after gaming for a long time, getting the GPU fans up to a speed that was generating more noise than I wanted personally. So what I read that you might be able to do is, I believe, undervolt your GPU. If you hover over power limit here, it says adjust the master GPU power limit if this is supported by the graphics card. So I have reduced it from 100% to about 79%. I guess it's about 80%, but 79 specifically. It's locked to the temperature. You can unlock it, I believe, but I figured, that seems fine to me. Your temperature limit is 74 degrees Celsius. Power limit is 79%. And, as far as I know, that is going to reduce the effectiveness, the power of my GPU. But it's also going to keep it quieter, and that's what I was looking for. So this has not negatively impacted my ability to play games, so I'm quite pleased with it. I just wanted to share that with you guys. I also, in grabbing Afterburner, I believe it comes with this Rivia Tuner statistics server. So this is another thing I've seen people using, and it's basically just an overlay that allows you to see frames per second and some other information about your CPU and GPU. So we're gonna be able to see that while I play some Starfield here. So yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about this. I'm about a little over 9 hours into the game, minus having tried to record this video a few times. And, I've really just only dipped a toe into this. It is, it seems like a deep game with a lot of gameplay systems and a lot of content in it. So it's going to take a while to really explore and get a good feeling for everything that the game has to offer. We can see here in settings, if I go to display, that I am playing this. It says a custom graphics preset, but really I just picked the ultra preset, and so it set everything to ultra or high as appropriate for that preset, basically. So I'm basically running this on ultra. If I go back here, we're just going to go ahead and load a game. This was from this Star Yard is where I'd like to start. And, one bit of discussion I've heard around this game is that the start is a little slow, and I would agree with that. You start off, you guys might have seen some videos where you start off as a miner in a mine, you have a mining laser, and then you basically, so this is a starter.
Well,
This is like where you are able to buy ships and ship parts and things like that. But yeah, when you start off, you basically meet the faction that's going to give you the quests for the main quest in here. And, it gives you a chance to go through your first dungeon, to learn how to fly your ship, and
if I were Tile, I'd be very concerned about the new
engage in ship
models.
combat for the first time. And then, I've basically gone on, actually I can go to missions, and you can see, the main mission, there's basically these two missions here. There's sort of, your very first start, and then I think Old Neighborhood, yeah, is basically going out with one of the companions from Constellation and basically doing your first quest, right? Now I have an assortment of main quests to choose from, and I've just run across other things while roaming the city. I heard a job advertisement for Ryujin Industries. That's apparently a faction quest. More hearsay stuff. A merchant told me there's a lot of spacer activity in the Altair system. A dead spacer had a note about a secret outpost on Denbola, or Denabola. So like these are the kind of things that, missions that you're going to collect as you play. And, when you get bored of just exploring around or doing whatever random thing it is that you're doing, just, you pick a mission and you go see where it leads you. It's, seems exciting. So here's our ship that's docked with this starport. And this is your starter ship. I've made no changes to it so far. And we're just going to hop in the cockpit here and undock from this. Now, one of the criticisms that I've heard from folks, it has to do with immersion, right? And I'm just going to come out and say that I feel like, especially, YouTube and discourse around video games and things like that thrives on drum, right? Unfortunately, it leads to a certain incentive for people to be somewhat disingenuous in their criticisms of a game, right? So just keep that in mind and take things with a grain of salt when people are jumping all over a bandwagon to criticize Starfield. I'm not saying that anything is above criticism, of course, but just, I think you know what I'm talking about, right? So here we can scan, we're by this moon of Deep Hollow. It's called Delvik. There's a few resources on it, 4 resources that we can try to discover. I've landed on this moon several times because I've been trying to re-record this so that we have a better video here for us all to enjoy. And it's interesting. It's interesting because really different things have happened every time. Now you're seeing a landing animation here, and as far as I know, this is actually kind of random. You don't always get a landing animation. I'm not entirely sure why. I think maybe just because you probably wouldn't want to see one every time, right? Now, I also have the option here to exit ship or just get up from my seat. So let's go ahead and get up because, again, this is something where I feel like people were trying to portray this game in a light as if everything is done through a menu and you can't immerse yourself in the game world as if you were really piloting a ship and really traveling from planet to planet. Now, I will say right off that this is not No Man's Sky or other space sims and things like that. It just isn't. It's its own game, right? I am a pretty big fan of No Man's Sky. I've put at least 150, maybe 200 hours into that game, possibly more. It's fun. But No Man's Sky is specifically a survival game. It's a survival exploration game. And this game has exploration elements to it, without a doubt. But it's an RPG. It's a Bethesda open world RPG. When you're role-playing, is kind of implied by the name, you use your imagination to kind of fill in the rough edges, right? And you play the game the way that you want to. You sort of have your own headcanon about it, and you make your own fun. You find out how it is that you want to enjoy a game, and you play it that way. So, I think from what I've played so far, 500 meters, this game seems to give you, quite a bit of freedom in terms of that. But, it doesn't necessarily give you a bunch of, I heard people saying things like, oh, I was planning to be a space, an astronaut miner or something like that. And I don't know. like maybe the game doesn't have like the game systems in it that you were expecting or something like that. But it has a bunch of systems in it that you're rewarded for participating in, right? So for instance here, I'm scanning these resources and I'm mining them. Now I believe you have resources like this. I mean, it's actually not coming up as a resource, so maybe it's not technically one, but there are resources that they seem like they might be gaseous, right? And I cannot harvest them with this laser. This is really just for rock formations, right? And anything that is in a rock formation, you can mine with this laser. But I don't know this for sure. I just assume it makes a lot of sense that there are probably ways to extract like things you can build to extract resources that you can't mine with your mining laser, right? So anyway, that's just something that would make a lot of sense to me that you can do in this game. There is a lot of shipbuilding, sort of base building, resource extraction and things like that. And you can see, like, I mean, I'm kind of walking in the general direction of some of these structures. They're honestly so far away that I don't know that I really want to get to them, because it's just going to take a long time, and I just want to talk to you guys for a few minutes here. So I don't know if we're actually going to see these, but a lot of times they are occupied by pirates, by spacers, which I think I would say function like raiders in Fallout. I ran across on another time that I landed on this particular moon, someone who had landed their ship and they were taking their pet lizard alien for a walk. That was their whole narrative, right? It was cute. It was fun. Yeah. So I've enjoyed what I've played with the game so far. I feel like the game opened up more at about 6.5 hours. Is sort of where I felt like, okay, like I've been introduced to a lot of like the basic things that you do and the basic gameplay, like just controls and things like that. And I was like, all right, and it kind of opens up where you can do what you like. And I was like, this I felt that spark of excitement, right? And I'm able to immerse myself in this game, I think, in a way that I've really been struggling to immerse myself in other games recently. I am a pretty big fan of Bethesda games. I've played them since Morrowind. I played Fallout 3. I really enjoyed Fallout 4. I know some people have criticisms of that. I'm sure that a lot of those are founded, but I found it to be an extremely fun game. I would say I like it. I made a video about how I like it better than Skyrim. I played Skyrim, I played Oblivion. They're all really fun games, and I like them. So, I'd say I'm probably one predisposed to enjoy this game, to kind of know what to probably expect from a Bethesda open world RPG set in space, right? And so far it's basically met my expectations. That's not to say that I would give it a 10 out of 10. I don't know yet. I haven't played a lot of the game. But yeah, it's fun so far. So, one thing that people have had a lot of issues with, though, is performance. Now, we can see my FPS here. I don't know if you guys have been watching it. It's about, 40, 43, 40, 42 even FPS, 46, somewhere in the 40s. And, I upgraded my hardware specifically to be able to play Starfield. I looked up what the minimum and recommended specs were, and I really wasn't running much of a graphics card in this, a GPU to start with. So I knew that I would need to do that. But, I want to call people out on this a little bit, because another thing I've seen is people just absolutely crying like babies about how this game performs, okay? And I've been on the Reddit for this game. I would say that over 90% of the people who are like, I have really good computer hardware, and this game is slow and stuttering. I can't play it. What's wrong? It really sucks. Um, People are like, "Hey, have you installed it on an SSD?" And they're like, "No, it's on a hard drive." Well, it is a requirement of this game that it be installed on an SSD. Okay, and I'm not going to say people are like dumb for not assuming that this game needs to be installed on an SSD. Oh, actually, another little role-playing element here. I don't know if I mentioned, but if you don't want to use again your menu to travel between star systems here, pretend like you're the captain of this ship, and in a lot of science fiction, a pilot would sit over here, a navigator would be over here. There's a navigation console. You can go ahead and use that to further role play your science fiction, role playing game here. It's pretty cool. You know what? Maybe we'll go here. So this is a place where I am trying to complete a survey. It's actually technically why I am at this area. So there's this abandoned Weebridge Pharmaceuticals lab. We'll take a look. Oh my gosh. And yeah, anyway, so immerse yourself in this game, right? If you're not feeling immersed, there are ways for you to immerse yourself. I'm not going to let people off the hook for not doing the minimum amount of research before you play a game like this, and just look up the minimum requirements for playing the game to ensure that your PC is able to play it. Okay, all you got to do is go to Google and type in Starfield minimum specs, minimum requirements, whatever it is. And you know what? I shouldn't do this, but I might just mess around with this a little bit. That is really, I don't think that's a big ask. Okay, I did that to make sure that I could play the game, and I confirmed that yes, I need to have an SSD. I bought an SSD and installed it in my computer, and whoops. And guess what? I'm not having any issues playing this game. But there are some caveats to that, and there are some things that they notice me. Yeah. It's going to be way too distracting for me to actually mess around with these guys. So yeah. Well, it's interesting. I landed at this facility, so it's really obvious to them that I'm here, and they're just like, "Hey, go away." So that's fine. Let's actually poke around. I'll see if I can get some more resources scanned here, without engaging these pirates. And how hard is it to just Google the requirements for a game and make sure that your PC meets those requirements? It's not, okay? People don't get a free pass for that. Seriously. I feel like a lot of people's complaints about performance would be solved just by that. Additionally, so I've dropped down here to 33 FPS, right? In New Atlantis, which is the kind of the main United Colonies city that's kind of one of the first places that you go to. That is, oops, I've built up some CO2 in my helmet here, so I'm just going to hang out. That is a place where there are a lot of people, and I regularly get 30 frames per second there. I've seen it drop to 29 and 28 frames per second, okay? But keeping it real, if I did not have this FPS counter installed so I could see what the frames per second were, I would have had no idea that I was even dropping to that's cool, to 29 and 28 frames per second, right? That is not something that is perceivable to me. I'm not going to say for sure that I'm like, hey, people are liars if they're saying that they can tell when their computer is, their game is running at whatever, 30 frames per second or something. Okay, I see it. But man, at least for me, I will say it has not impacted my enjoyment of the game at all. I have not felt any times when it seemed like I had, oh Jesus, this dude is not giving up, is stuttering. It's never felt like it was. Oh boy, I've gotten something's attention. It's a non-issue for me, without a doubt. Right. Now, something that I have a little bit more sympathy for is resolution. Okay, so we can take a look at my display resolution for my PC here, but it is basically 1080p. Okay, so I am doing what you would call 1080p gaming. There are monitors that are higher resolution than that. Okay, they're expensive. You're going to be spending $250, $300 on a monitor, and you're going to be getting something that's like 1440p or 20. Oh, interesting. Can I? Yeah, pork degenerate tissue spice. Oh, nice. Okay, that's actually super useful. Anyway, I'm kind of, kind of sad I didn't mean to like murder all these creatures, but I guess it's casualties of exploration here. But yeah, you can get, monitors that are 4K, right? And as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of a misnomer. It's switching from measuring your resolution by the vertical axis to measuring it by the horizontal axis, which is, I get it, kind of. It's like just a marketing thing, but it's pretty lame, I think. So, let's see if I can scan this guy without getting us riled up, or him or her, I should say. They're 50% scanned. So, that I'm a little bit more sympathetic to, because there's such a thing as native resolution on your monitors. So if you've purchased a monitor specifically to do 4K gaming, right? You've also hopefully considered your processor and your GPU and gotten those with the intention of being able to do 4K gaming, and you're basically expecting to be able to do that, right? And I would assume that if people are struggling to game at 4K with the hardware that they got specifically to be able to 4K game with, I would be upset, because you can't change gaming at a resolution that is different from your monitor's native resolution is a big hit visually, right? You just don't ever want to do that. So that makes sense. I get if people are upset about that, right? From what I hear, Bethesda is planning to release a patch in their first patch, which will add DLSS support. This is something for specifically NVIDIA users. I guess the newer NVIDIA cards, of which this 3060 that I'm using is one of them, are able to AI interpolate frames, so it gives you a higher frame rate at higher resolutions, which you might not be able to get a good frame rate running without doing this AI interpolation. So, personally, I think that's going to solve most of those problems. From what I know, there is an unofficial mod that you can do to do that right now. So I guess if anyone has experience with that, right, let me know if I'm wrong. But I have a feeling that, people aren't really going to be able to gripe about that legitimately once that patch is available. I think that's pretty much a non-issue, but I don't know. For me, these things are basically non-issues, because I feel like the game is running really well for me. You can see my GPU is pegged out right now 100%. But that's fine. It's some of that is because I've dropped I've undervolted my GPU, and the fans I think are running at 80% right now. The temperature is 75 degrees, and it's great. I think the game looks good. I think it's performing well. There's nothing about it that distracts me from just playing the game, right? I'm not sitting around thinking about, oh, like, what is my frame rate right now? I'm like, hey, like, I want to survey, the rest of these things. Like, that's what I'm focusing on, right? There's a cohort online who loves dogpiling on something when other people are having fun. They want everyone to be miserable and nobody to have fun, and that's what they do with their lives, right? And it's sad and it's annoying, but sometimes people listen to that, and it's too bad, right? I don't know what to say about it. Again, like, I don't know what I would rate this game at this point. But there's absolutely nothing that I've encountered in my 9+ hours of it that I've played so far is anything where I would say, oh, don't play this game, right? Like, if you enjoy the conceit of the game, like what it's, let's see, where's my ship is up here, like what it's trying to do, and the setting and all of that. If you like with other Bethesda RPGs, I would recommend it to anybody who's interested in it. I think if you have something really specific, like you're like, man, I play, I don't know, I want this to be a space sim. Like, it's not a space sim, so that's just, I don't know what you call that, wishful thinking. Like, it's just ignoring reality. I don't know what it is, but it's not that. But yeah, it seems like a super cool game so far, and I like that it's a game that I feel like is hooking me, and the more I play it too, like, I've heard this from other people, but it makes a lot of sense because you really start this off without the ability to do a lot of things, right? And it's important as you level. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Get up. Run backward. You get better at things. So is there anything I can get from this? Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, so all your skills, like, all of this stuff is what do they call it? Challenge based. So, like, I put a point into stealth, and if I want to upgrade my stealth, I have to perform 10 sneak attacks. I started off with a weightlifting thing, and if I want to rank this up, I need to sprint while at 75% more of my maximum load capacity, right? So, I mean, that's something I should be doing, is like sprinting around. And I mean, if you guys have played Morrowind, had a very similar system to that. It's an interesting system. I think it's cool. And yeah, I can't wait to play some more of this game. And yeah, I'd love to know if people are playing this game, right? Especially, has anybody like bought an Xbox for it or upgraded their PC or anything like I did? That is one thing, and I understand, it's disappointing. It's not on PlayStation 5, right? Microsoft did pour a bunch of money. Well, I mean, they bought ZeniMax and, poured a bunch of money into this, and it's an exclusive for them. And that's kind of a bummer, but I've been a gamer for so long, and I've owned pretty much, most of the major systems, and it's a fact of life about doing this kind of thing. And if I'd committed to a PS5, I could see some people being a little disappointed, but it kind of is what it is. There's cool stuff you can do, like, so I've gathered resources. If I go here, this is a research station, so I can like, let's take pharmacology. I've gotten some of these things that I need. So what is this? Argon. So I have 10 argon, and it's required as 2, so I'm going to confirm. And so it's saying there's overflow, and it's adding that to metabolic agent and some tetrafluorides. So that's useful because the tetrafluorides are now completed. I don't know that I had those. And I've got metabolic agents from those creatures I killed, actually. So that's awesome. So now I'm able to, I believe this works like a recipe. So now I'm able to do this performance enhancing inhaler if I find like a pharmaceutical research, like in that crafting table, right? And you can find those at like Constellation's Lodge, so that's no problem. You can add them to your ship. I have made no customizations to the ship yet, so I don't have one here. Although actually, I might. No, I don't even think this counts as a cooking station. It's just whatever, a little hot pot. But yeah, you can sleep, get a little rest, take a little nap, wake up feeling rested, and yeah, I wanted to share, like I said, my impressions about this game with you guys, and just put your fears at ease that you don't need to worry about, if this is a cool game. Is every game going to be for everybody? No. Is this game going to be for everybody? No. But is this a 10 out of 10 game? I have no idea. But it's a cool game, and I've really been enjoying it so far. And I am totally pleased with how it's performing on my computer. And that's about it. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you join me again next time. Take care.